if you want to fulfill your purpose, you find out what you're passionate about and what you're proficient at. What is it that you do that other people compliment you on that? Maybe you're a good builder. Maybe you just have a way with, you can just build, man. It's in your DNA. Well, you probably would do real well working for a builder or starting your own construction company. Because that's just in you. Matter of fact, it takes the element of work away. I get tired sometimes in what I do, but there is such an element of fun. Sometimes it's hard to disconnect from the work versus the fun. Like when I'm getting up here and speaking to you, I'm wired to do this.
Yeah.
I'm graced to do this. Some other people who would try to step into this, it would drive them up the wall. They'd be nervous, they couldn't sleep the night before, blah, blah, blah. That's not me. I'm wired to do this. This is part of my calling. When I'm teaching music, I'm wired to do that. In the different businesses, I'm wired. I'm wired for that. So the sense of the curse is broken. See, working under curse is I owe, so it's off the work I go. It's putting much energy out and receiving little. He said, Adam, because you've sinned under that curse, you'll work by the sweat of your brow. Thorns and thistles, the land will produce. You'll put out so much effort and energy, 100%, and there'll be so little that comes in. That's working under curse. But Galatians 3:13 says Christ has redeemed us from the curse, being made a curse for us, that the blessing of Abraham might come on the Gentiles. If you look at the life of Abraham, they were wealthy.
Yeah, he was.
Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Abraham was a pioneer in this life, what I'm telling you about living an abundant life. Jesus said, I've come you might have and enjoy life in abundance to the full, till it overflows. Abraham was a pioneer. See, God said, I'm going to have to take you out of the system of the world, Abraham, and teach you my principles. I'm going to teach you how to sell. I'm going to teach you how to look people in the eyes and make a connection and be genuine. I'm going to have to teach you how to be fair. I'm going to have to teach you how to be diligent. I'm going to take you into my kingdom system. And that funneled right on down to Isaac, to Jacob. I love Genesis 26, verse number 12. I've been meditating on these three scriptures for the last year, from January, every single day, from anywhere between 5 to 15 minutes every single day, because the Lord was showing me something in them. Genesis 26, 12, and verse 12, 13, 14, and 15. Isaac sowed in the land. It says he sowed in the land when there was famine. He said, it was unlike the first famine that was in the days of Abraham. How are you wealthy, Abraham, when there's famine? Isaac is in the middle of a famine. It says he sowed in the land, and in the same year he reaped 100 times what he sowed. Yeah. The reason I've been meditating on this for the last year, since January 1st, is because the Lord said, I'm going to show you something. As you meditate on this, the seeds you're sowing in 2016, you're going to reap 100 times what you've sown.
Amen.
And that's in every area, in every single area. So I'm meditating in it. I haven't been reading much other of Scripture, just meditating in those 4 verses every single day. And I'm telling you what, they're so in me. Laura said something to me the other day, and I was like, she said, woo, woo. I said, this word's in me. This is the year we're going to see 100 times what I'm sowing. So when we put out signs, when I do this and focus on that, it's going to reap 100 times. Why? It's already there. When I get up in the morning, I'm already thinking like that. It's already wired in. Meditate in this book day and night, and then you'll make your way prosperous. You'll have good success. So what are you proficient at? What do people come to you and compliment you? When I play the saxophone, I've seen people fall out under the power of God, just playing over them. I've had testimonies of people seeing visions as I'm playing the saxophone over them, as they're laying on the carpet, and I'm playing melodies. I'm proficient at it. I get paid to do it, and that's why I've been writing songs on the saxophone. I'm going to go into the studio and start recording it. We have some of our praise and worship music out there on iTunes that people purchase, but I'm going to start going in that field. You know why? That's another garden that God has for me. Amen. So it's abundant life. God just keeps adding more and more to you, and you just keep thriving, and He just keeps expanding, and you just keep growing and blooming and blossoming. But that's what you need to check on. How passionate am I? How proficient am I? And then third, what you need to consider is, what does it pay? Because you can say, well, this is what God is calling me to. And what God calls you to do, sometimes there is sacrifice, but He also wants you to thrive. If what I'm doing is not meeting the bills, it's not paying for her to have clothes and food, and for my child to be able to be schooled and be taken care of, well, then something is wrong in the equation. What does it pay? So these are things you want to consider when you're pursuing your purpose. How passionate? Because if you're not passionate, if it's not something that you love, after a little bit of time, 2 weeks. You'll be tired of what you're doing.
Yeah.
I've been ministering since 1998. I feel as enthused and excited to get up and so privileged and honored to be able to come and minister to you as the first day I ever stepped foot in the pulpit. When I share and teach people how to play music, I'm excited about it. Especially when they practice and they're disciplined enough to do what I tell them to do and they grow in it. And then I see them one guy got a record deal over in Woodstown. I had been teaching him how to play guitar and he got a record deal and he was showing me. And he was so excited. He said, look at this. And some of these guys that some of us teach, they go into the acting world and they go into be great musicians. And he's heading towards Broadway. One of our instructors has been working with him. They're songwriters. And so it's wonderful for us. We're on the other side of that. But how proficient, how passionate are you about it? You find your strength zone. What's your strength zone? Have you ever thought about it? What I've been wired to do? Like I said, read the book, you'll get it all. So, number 1, spending time with the Lord. Number 2, exercising, nutrition. Number 3, connecting with my family. If you can just get those 3 in order, you can take over the world.
Yeah.
Can I just be honest with you? It's so hard to just get those 3 in place. Being consistent with your walk with the Lord, meditating the Word, getting on an exercise plan where you do it even on the days you don't feel like doing it. And number 3, reading and researching and keeping your heart open with your spouse. And staying connected, staying on the same page with your spouse. Not just doing things opposite, but really as a unit, functioning as one unit. If you can just do those, you can pretty much almost do anything, really, and it be blessed and prosperous. Number 4, you find your purpose. Now here's what happens. When you find your purpose, money is going to be generated. For the mere reason you love what you're doing and you can work longer because you hate it. You're not like watching the clock and saying, okay, 5 o'clock's here. Woo, I'm out of here, baby. You watch some of these places, 5 o'clock, man, the parking lot's empty. You're going, woo, they just about blow your socks off. People that hate their job, if they love their job, they're not in any rush to leave. They're going to get out at a decent time, yeah, but they're not watching the clock. When you really are passionate about it, I'm not saying you don't get physically tired, but you love the people, you love what you do. If you're going to spend some extra energy and time, it doesn't bother you because you love what you're doing. So you've discovered your purpose. Now, when you discovered your purpose, it generated finances. Now you're under a different cycle. You're operating in a kingdom system. You're not under the curse any longer. I came that they might have and enjoy life in abundance to the full till it overflows. Managing money is key number 5 to living an abundant life. If you don't have a budget, you're not telling your money where to go, and you probably cannot account for all the money that has went. I had one couple, he runs his own construction business. He is very well placed. He's gifted. He's a gifted contractor. He was showing me all the fancy work that he does in the trim and all these different saws and things. I mean, it's elaborate. And they're in the real estate. They buy properties, they fix them up, and they turn them over. He said 1 year alone, he said, we wasted $100,000. We went back and looked over. We said $100,000 we couldn't account for. We said, where did that extra $100,000 go? They said, know what? I'm just going places, going out, eating. They said, we could not account for $100,000. Wow. No budget. So you have to be intentional. You have to. A budget is basically you saying, I'm taking responsibility. I'm telling my money where it's going to go each month. If not, it's just going to go. Right. It'll be taken. And guess what? In researching, I've been researching and studying millionaires for several years now. I've been reading books. Dave Ramsey is a pioneer in this. I encourage you, those of you who want to break through financially, read Dave Ramsey's book called The Total Money Makeover. Tom Stanley, The Millionaire Next Door, they're just a couple that are out there. I've read, and they're just so good. But millionaires live 15 to 20% below what they make. Can you do that? If you can't, you probably need to sell some stuff off. They live without debt. Most of our married life, my wife and I lived without debt. I owned my cars, always paid cash for them. When we bought our house, I did go into debt for the house. I didn't have enough money to cover the entire house. But then, as the music business began to grow and explode to the point where I'm looking for people right now. I need some good teachers. I need some good music teachers that are willing to travel. I'm always looking for people. I'm always hiring. The business is just thriving. God's hand and grace is on it. But as the business began to grow and as it really began to prosper and as lots of money began to come into the teaching business, to the school, play like the pros, I said, man, I can afford brand new cars. So that's exactly what I did. I said, here, Laura, we'll get you one, get good old Wayne one, and as a matter of fact, let's lease them. And that's exactly what I did. I did it because I could do it and still have money left over. Now, looking back, it wasn't smart. And I don't have all the time to go into all the detail. Leasing is the worst way to purchase a vehicle. You want to purchase a vehicle and do it really well, get one that's been leased for 2 or 3 years before you. They take the hit. They take all the depreciation. You come in and just, like Jesus said, I've sent you to reap what others have sown. So I'd rather be on that side than taking all the depreciation. So I took the depreciation times 2 just because I could. Okay, now, being in ministry for all those years, what we discovered is we sacrificed so much for so long. We would go places where we needed $1,000 or $1,500 to come in. And we were always just being tested and tried, and 500 would come in. Or 200 would come in. But we learned to trust God and believe God and not keep a demand on our faith. And then we'd go to the P.O. box and there'd be a check for $1,000. It would make up the difference. Or someone in the meeting would buy $500 worth of product. We learned in those 7-8 years when that's all we did was just traveled all over the nation full time. Learned how to believe God, learned how to exercise our faith, learned how to trust in the middle of situations and circumstances, screaming at you saying, you're not going to have enough to eat. You're going to lose. You're going to lose everything. You're going under. We learned how to believe. We learned how to trust God in that. But it's taxing. It's taxing on your nervous system. It's taxing. It was very taxing on me to be in that place constantly. So we were so used to living with so little that when the music business began to explode, I began to swing to the opposite end. Not that we were like totally frivolous and just went out and just bought on impulse. I've never been like an impulse shopper. But when it came to the cars, I leased 2 new cars. And looking back, I could have taken that money and invested it and made so much more money out of it. So if you want to prosper, if you want to manage your money, the first thing you need is a budget. Number 2, work on getting out of debt. We had some credit card debt that we had. We got on a plan. We knocked it right out. Now, the cars are next. I'm coming close. The cars are going to be paid off shortly. I'm not playing games with it. I'm going after it with an intensity. I'm like, yep, you, then you. I'm paying you both off. The only debt I'll have is the house. And then we'll start putting more money towards that mortgage payment. And we'll knock that out too. But it takes discipline, it takes focus, it takes sacrifice. But you can live debt-free. You know you can own cars debt-free. I did it for most of my married life. I can go back to that. Another way I used to do it, I used to buy vehicles that were older, sometimes 5, 6, 7 years older. I'd put money aside, I'd buy that vehicle, I'd have the vehicle for a few years and then sell it. I would take the money that I sold, I would keep saving why I drove that vehicle, I would add it to the money I got for the vehicle, and then I would get another vehicle. You can own cars without debt. Maybe the car you're in right now, you might need to sell to break the debt system. See, I just got something in the mail the other week. The one lease was up on on my car, and they said, "Come on down, boy. We'll put you in a brand new 2016. We'll work with the payment. We'll get it down to, $100 a month if that's all you can afford. You can pay for this car 2 times over for the next 15 years. Come on down." Do you think they're just being nice? Because there's a profit margin in there. Sure. They want you to come down there. It's good marketing. But I had this wired in my brain enough. My flesh said, yeah, buddy. Yeah. Go down, see myself in that 2016. Put me in a 2016 Cadillac DeVille. Put on my nice sunglasses, 40 years old, go through midlife crisis, turn up the radio. All those things that go on. Yeah, talk to me, somebody. You want to feel cool, put on glasses, let's get a convertible. All these things go through your mind, but I've been meditating this for so long, and I have read so many books that I built this network that my physical brain actually rejected that. I saw that and just tore it up, said, I'm not going back into Mr. Slave. I'm not putting a noose around my neck anymore. The word mortgage comes from the word mortuary.
Those are really? Wow.
Yes. When you get a mortgage, you're wrapping a noose around your neck. God said in Deuteronomy 28, if you obey my voice, you'll be the lenders and not the borrowers. We have a hard time with that because our society says you cannot have a house or drive a car without debt. But you can do it if you do it God's way. And I should have started investing. We hired a financial advisor. He was telling me, he said his grandmother, she invested in a mutual fund when she was young, and she invested $1,000. When she went to retire, she never added any more to that. It was $300,000 because of compound interest.
Yeah.
Those of you that are young, you're 25 years of age, you find a good mutual fund. If you can't do it on your own, find a good financial advisor. Have him or her help you to invest in a mutual fund, even that has a 5, 6, 8% yield. Now you go by the lifetime, go by a 40, you can find mutual funds that they average 10%, sometimes higher, over a 40, 50 year range. Don't go by 1 year it's 4, sometimes it's 8, sometimes it's higher, sometimes it's lower. You can't go by that. That's why people always argue with me. They say, where are you going to find a mutual fund that has that kind of a yield? I'm talking about what it averages over 40 or 50 years. I'm not talking about the fact that it's 4% right now, but over the average. So you find one that averages that, and then you invest that money, $100 a month. Hear me. Those of you that are old or younger, I wish I would have started this when I was 25, but you can do it now, no matter how old you are. 25 years of age to 65 years of age, $100 a month in a good mutual fund. You'll have $1,200,000 in your account. You'll be able to retire with dignity and honor. $100 a month. You spend that in coffee, Mr. Latte Breath.
Yeah.
You spend more than that when you go to Target or Walmart. If we don't retire with dignity and honor, it's our own fault. Yeah. Well, I'm counting on Social Security, bless God. It might not be there. It could be, it might not. I'm not counting on a dime of it. If it's there, it's an added blessing. I'm not looking to the government and this worldly system to take care of me. I'm looking to God's system, running businesses and multiplying. Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself. I guess I have to move on to the next point. The next point is multiplication. So number 5, when you're managing your money, have a budget. Get out of debt, take that money, find a good financial advisor, start investing, start living 15-20% below what comes in. It'll take all the pressure off. You can thrive. I've come, you might have and enjoy life.